Okay, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, the 28th of April 2022, Thursday evening, the late one, in review, where we look at some of the top news and the big news of the day. Or what I say is, we give it our own spin. Um, since 2020, during the lockdown, we, we I started to do the online show because without a doubt we had to go into lockdown, and as a result of the lockdown, we just had to deal with all the different issues. For the first part of the whole 2020, for the lockdown, everything was COVID, 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 and vaccine and all those sort of things. One had to be very careful as to some of the words that you use because the powers that be didn't like it. Interesting how Elon Musk has actually bottled Twitter, and the persons who didn't like people speaking with alternative voices are actually upset as a result of that, and they're leaving it in droves. And then after that, we moved on straight on, and we went straight into talking about Putin, and they want to mash up the countries. They want to mash up the place called Ukraine. Still don't work out what is the whole purpose of that. I don't know if anyone can actually tell us what was the purpose of that at the same time. And it's interesting how things are just unfolding in regards to the whole issue regarding Ukraine and Russia at this time. Many people are actually saying, and what powers that be are saying, is that Ukraine is somewhat like a pawn in the hand of NATO and the West, and they are just being there to be used. And so the pressure is on. So what Russia said, I'm gonna mash up in the country. Russia says it's gonna turn off the gas and everything like that. So yeah, and of course tonight we're gonna talk about this gruesome massacre of this family in South London. Really sad case. Really sad. What makes someone snap? What makes someone snap? What makes someone want to kill people at the same time? So yeah, so that's the thing there. Let me just invite in one of my um co-guests tonight. How are you doing, Taiwo?
I am fine, thank you. How are you doing,
Um,
Sid? Just
I don't
turning
know if
up the lights a little bit.
yeah,
Can
I wasn't here. Were you hearing me earlier?
No, I just came in as you were giving your introduction.
Oh,
I
but
don't know
you
if
heard
you.
me. Were you hearing me?
Oh yeah, yes, I was
All
hearing
right,
you
okay. Because
talking
I just
about
realized that I
talking
couldn't hear you
about
a while.
talking about Putin. And I thought, is it Putin or Putin or
Well,
Pine or
listen,
anyway.
listen. Let's get it right because we don't want the man come mash up a set. I don't want to go. I don't want to go mash up a set or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I like you. I like your setup. It's very dynamic there. What is the secret? What is the secret?
Oh, well, I don't know. Secrets. I mean, I worked on this. Like I say, I spent time putting this together when the pandemic came because I thought, you know what, it's about time. Yeah, actually, I probably need to angle the camera a little bit for you so you
Let me
can.
see. How's
Uh,
that?
well, well, let's do it this way.
Yes, do that.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm a bit more. I'm a bit more center stage when
Yeah,
you. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, is
Until
that
Garrett
better?
comes, if he comes, we can go like this.
Is that better? Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's better. That's more center stage.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, I just when the pandemic came, decided that this is a new way of living, and I thought let's just invest a little bit in
Yeah.
it. And I'm glad I did. I've given I work sort of like this. Not this
Mhm.
particular camera. I just use the one on the laptop, but um, it's the same position, and I've
Yes.
taught like this. And actually, the irony of it is that for anyone watching and wondering, what's most important is having some good lights and a good background.
Yes.
And with that, you can, and if you can, a headset like this, or a good mic. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't cost a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So I think the most important elements are the lights. Two lights if possible. Um, because then it reduces the eye strain. I don't have a light shining directly
Yes.
on me. I've got one to the left and one to the right, and I can adjust the intensity of both of those. And one of them is just a B&Q lamp. To be honest, one of them is not actually a light.
Are
It's
you are
not
you are
a.
you are
It's
you
not
are
a
you are
studio
you,
light. It's a
are
B&Q.
you promoting B&Q?
Oh no, B&Q. We need some. We need some royalties now for the show.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
It's interesting what you say because as I started the show earlier, and I was talking about when we started in 2020 because I normally in the studio and I said wanted to create something wherever you are because when things change, sometimes you got to change with it or you got to.
Yes.
I did a talk this morning. I say if you don't do something, something I go do. I drop it in Jamaican slang. If you don't do something, something I go do. So you need to do something or break it down in English. If you don't do
Yes.
something, something is gonna happen to you. Therefore, you need to be proactive. A lot of
Yes.
a lot of people got very proactive as much as possible. The dynamism of the whole thing, and so we started the shows a lot with a few key guys. Everything was about COVID. But I was thinking
Mm.
today, when I think about the high costs of living, and
Yes.
last week when Gary was talking about the furlough and how that the government is coming to take it back somehow.
Oh, Sid. I was hoping you wouldn't go there, but
I have to go there first because you know what? I have to go there because I'm feeling slightly cheated. You know why I'm feeling slightly cheated?
because you didn't get anything.
No, no, because I
Okay.
didn't break. There was no break. I was like I mean, childcare
Yeah, that's
lawyers.
what I'm saying. There
Yeah,
was no break for you. You were not in need of the support, so
yes.
you were not cheated.
No, no, but if I'm going to feel the effect of it, like they're clawing back the furlough, they're clawing it back from everybody.
Yes, there. Yes. So it's fair. You
No, it's
didn't
not.
get any.
It's not fair if you never got the furlough and you work right through the time.
The
It should come.
government's trying to make sure it is fair.
It,
That's
it,
all.
it should be coming back from the persons who benefited, isn't it?
Yes, of course, rightly so.
I didn't benefit from it.
Exactly. So, so you have nothing to worry about. Oh yeah.
But we are feeling it. I mean, we're all feeling the whole pinch of the whole thing, or maybe it's Putin that we need to blame.
Oh no, 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 no. You're not feeling, any chlorine back because you're not affected.
How
You're
do you know
just
that?
well, if you didn't benefit from it, were you furloughed? No.
No, but the
So
feeling,
they
but according to some people
I mean,
saying,
maybe indirectly. Okay, if your employer furloughed staff and has to pay back and they don't have the money or something like that,
yeah,
then that's a different story. That's for your employer to do it, not you. It could put you out of work, right? So these are the real. Oh dear, we're really going into this now. There are many people that are struggling seriously.
mm,
So it's basically giving with one hand and taking with the other.
yes,
You know, I've heard the stories of people that have had to shut down their business because basically they have to sell everything off to pay it back. So it's giving with one hand and taking with the other. So you're back to exactly the same position that the various schemes were designed to save you from.
mm,
You
mm.
know, so yeah.
Well, it,
Let's there.
yeah, it's interesting though, and ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm sure everyone is somewhat um, affected in some way by the high cost of living, and
That is affecting everybody. Yes,
yeah,
that's
and
affecting everybody.
you know,
And well, that is several factors working together. It's the pandemic, it's Ukraine and the war there. It's other economic forces that were um, already sort of at work, maybe even before the pandemic. I mean,
mm,
there are economic forces that work all the time. There are various things happening all the time. And what often happens is that when something else comes into the mix as a catalyst to accentuate the standard economic drivers, then we think it's just those factors alone. But usually, there are all these other factors at play that are there: interest rates, um, and so on, many other things. So,
One of the
you know,
things, one of you see, we can call it. This is a key factor. It wasn't on my topic, but the whole cost of living with the increase in petrol, the increase in gas and electric in your home. Um, Today there was a truck which actually
speaking
hit a,
of increase, you know what? Maybe sorry to cut you. Maybe you need to cut to a short interlude because I need to go and turn that oven off. I'm not going to let it. I'm not. One of the tips that I saw. We talked about tips last
yes,
week.
yes,
So the energy, I think British Gas in my case, they give some tips. They say if you're cooking something, turn off the oven like 5 minutes before the due time because it's still hot. Remember, if
yes.
if you're cooking a pie and
That
it says
in the oven.
in the oven and it says 30 minutes, well, if you time it for 30 minutes, then you take the pie out and then turn it off. Well, the oven is still hot for the next 5 minutes,
So
and
you
that
turn
energy
it
could have
off
done
like
something.
25 minutes.
So you turn it for 25. So that's what I want to do now, Sid.
So,
Let
so
me know what's a good time to go.
no, anytime
I
you're
don't want
ready
to
to,
get.
anytime you're ready to go and get the food cooked, and so we can all have a dinner with you. Let's go for it.
All right then.
And at the end of the show, I'll also mention some of these key topics
Yes.
um, as well. But yeah, I wanted to say though that I saw something that Nick Ferrari said today, and I
Hmm.
had to agree with Nick Ferrari to a point.
Yes.
And I don't always agree with Nick Ferrari, but today I agree with Nick Ferrari, and I made it publicly that I agree with him. And if I share the point that Nick Ferrari was saying,
Yes.
and this is what he said.
Okay. I'll let you put the point up on the screen
Yes,
for a minute longer, and I'll run and come back in 30
yeah,
seconds. You won't
yeah,
even
no
know that I
problem,
wasn't
no,
here.
no
Yes.
problem, no problem. Yes. So Nick Ferrari, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Ferrari was saying that you know it's time that people really move on now, because this thing is just reaching to a crisis proportion, in the sense that um, everybody's talking about Partygate, talking about how MP wear their dresses, while this massive high cost of living is so much that I had to comment also on Facebook as well. I had to comment on Facebook by saying I agree with Nick totally. I'm with Nick Ferrari. I don't care one hoot or iota with Boris and his prosecco and parties and care and his bears. Let's talk and grapple with this crazy high inflation and these madmen that run Russia and Ukraine who are so hell bent in triggering a world war. You know what I'm saying? It's
I do.
crazy.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
crazy. I think we totally missed the boat. The emphasis and the push so much towards all of these things I consider a distraction. What they should be putting all that time, that energy in, is finding creative ways to actually help persons who are suffering at this moment. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
There's a lot of politics being played, isn't there? you know and that will always play out. It doesn't matter what the topic is. There's a lot of mudslinging going on,
Yes.
obviously,
Mm.
right now. But yeah, I'm not the best sort of pundit speaker on those topics, because I think sometimes I just get saturated and I tune out, and just
Yeah.
try to pay attention to what else is going on.
Yes. Yes.
It's good when they're discussing things that help, the common man and his
Mm.
dog, and families, and struggling mothers, and so on. But when it becomes a tit for tat on who broke lockdown rules and who didn't, then it's precious time, precious resource that should have been spent debating really important stuff,
Yes.
that is now being spent talking about things that I
Long
think
legs, tall legs.
I think most people really don't care. Who
Okay.
cares that who cares that Keir Starmer drank, what was that? What did the
Bear. He
article?
drank
Yeah,
bear.
on what occasion and when and where? Who really cares at this point? And I mean, we now know that, well, you know, them upholding those rules, the way some of us were, was something that was not happening or was difficult or challenging. So yeah, okay, well, let's all move on and just have the help we need to get back on track with the lives and the sacrifices that we have
Yeah.
made for quite some time. That's what we all need help with.
Well, listen,
So
Elon Musk. Who is that guy? Who
yes,
is that guy? Who is
Elon
that guy?
Musk.
Is he the guy? Who is that guy?
Elon Musk, founder of SpaceX and Tesla and another solar company. I actually, in preparing for this,
Sorry. Good afternoon, Scotty. Afternoon. Welcome to ladies and gentlemen who are here. Thank you for joining. Scotty, peace out to you as well. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on YouTube.
hi
Thank you, and
Scotty.
please share as well.
Is
Yes.
this the same Scotty that I know on Insta? Okay, I guess
Yeah.
not. Maybe. So anyway, I put up a chart. I was looking at the Tesla shares because obviously one of the big stories was the sort of dip in Tesla shares when he decided to purchase Twitter.
Yes. Mm.
Um, but really, that's just a temporary blip. I'm just looking at it here. I should have probably put up the Google link so you could share that. But it's
Yes.
just a temporary blip. People need to zoom out and take a look at how Tesla shares have done over the last, say, 3 years, and overall, it's still quite well. I would say, yeah, there's been a bit of a drop, but maybe 20%. Yes, I would say okay. So I'm looking at the 3 year weekly average price of Tesla shares,
Mm.
and currently it's looking like it's dropped by about 20%
Mm.
or slightly less, whatever 200 is as a percentage of $1,200. So you're down $200 on a stock that at its peak in the last 3 years was about
Yeah.
$1,200. So that's not a massive drop, and it's something that can certainly recover. The question is, should Elon Musk own Twitter privately? So I saw some comments in some places that he can now access your direct messages and things like that. But
He can.
Twitter, that's what I heard or read somewhere. I don't know how true that is. And it's not something he'll be interested in or have time to do anyway. I
Mm.
mean, he may be interested in that for a few high profile people, but I think the vast majority of us, there's nothing of interest in our direct messaging box on Twitter. So,
Well, I think the thing with Elon Musk is, and based on his comments many times before during the whole pandemic,
yes.
we always have this issue regarding free speech, which we have. I was shut down many times on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, when people are actually having a
Okay.
conversation with the vax, having a conversation. I mean, I can say it now. We have to
Yes.
find the words. People are actually having different conversation, various views, and I literally remember one time on Instagram, the thing just really was just spinning, and I just saw it literally. It's like a hand came in and shut it down. Literally, it's like the hand of God. Once I was watching a movie. I was watching a movie once, yeah,
Hmm.
and there was this top guy who was similar to Mark Zuckerberg, and this guy actually controlled the social media empire. And a guy kidnapped one of his staff, and they were saying he was trying to extortion to get money from him. So the guy said, "This is what the guy said: Let me speak to the person." And his friends are and his people are saying, "No, don't. He's trying to get money from you." So he ran away from them and he went up to the mountaintop and he said, "I'm gonna impose God." You know what God is? The God button. There's a God button that he can press and can find anything from any user. He pressed the God button and went in to try to find the person. He
That's the
pressed
get out
the
of
God.
jail card. That's the the Joker. That's the get out of jail card. That's
Yes,
the so God button, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, well, yeah, that's in the movies and in the movies only,
yes,
really.
yes.
But in real life, I don't know. We have to wait and see, really, with Twitter. We have to wait and see. I
Well,
don't
well,
think any.
well, well. The thing about it now, ladies and gentlemen, is that the board of Twitter has agreed to this $44 billion, 34.5 billion pounds takeover of the billionaire Elon Musk. Take over it. Musk made a shot bid less than 2 weeks. Remember, they were trying to stop him. There was something they call
Yes,
what do you call it? A
yes, yeah,
poison
yeah.
thing. What is it? You
Well,
know this? What do they call it?
well, it's not a strategy I'm familiar with, but they
Yes,
basically uh, sort of passed a rule that would prevent him from owning more than 15%.
yes,
Okay, but then I think what was so I just read. I don't spend too much time on this news, but I think I read this morning somewhere that there was a part of the deal such that there was basically $1 billion on the table,
yes,
both parties. So if Elon pulled out, there was like a bet or something. If Elon pulled out, he would have lost $1 billion anyway,
yeah.
And then if Twitter pulled out, they would have lost $1 billion. So I don't know. These are we're talking about figures that are way, way above what you and I can even conceptualize
Yes.
in our dreams.
I think the thing now with this takeover and what we've been reading about is that it is turning out to be a left and a right thing, even though Elon Musk is not actually wanting that. What Elon Musk is actually saying, he wants freedom of expression.
Yes.
There is the need still for regulation because in this world with this whole bullying, with this whole bullying thing at the same time, that is something which is prevalent. And it reminds me when Donald Trump was winning, and if he won, many people are saying that they're going to leave America. They're going to Whoopi Goldberg. They're going to leave America, and that is what is happening now. A lot of people are actually saying that they will leave Twitter, and it's strange. These are persons from the left. So the question is it that the persons of the left are so wanting to be in control that now they are feeling out of control? The people of the right, they're actually feeling rejoicing that they're able to get back on, and many are saying, "Will Trump be back?" And so,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, but I'm not even sure that it's a left versus right in the way you kind of describe there,
yeah.
because
But no,
I
no. I,
mean,
I I'm just saying what is being said. The
yeah,
perception.
yeah, yeah. I mean, was Twitter leftist or rightist before now? I don't
I think
know.
it was more it was more left leaning. It was more left leaning.
Well,
According
yeah, but they're the ones that were being was it not the leftists that were being sort of silenced
No,
more
it was
more
a
than
right.
the
No, it was a right.
was it
It was
oh,
a right.
oh
It was the right. It was the leading
okay.
right. Yeah, they were the ones
I
that were
see.
silent.
The
Yes,
conserv the
the
conservatives
Republican
that
conservative
yes.
angle. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, um I don't know. We do need free speech to be protected
mm,
and not shut down by right-leaning folk. But that goes for not just Twitter, that goes for Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, every social media platform out there, I think. And remember when Mark Zuckerberg had to give testimony before the US Congress over what was it back then? I can't even remember. But it's all about how much power and
yeah,
all of that.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, and he left basically with a commitment to make some changes and implement some of the recommendations, which I think Facebook has done. Has it changed Facebook massively? I don't think so.
Mm,
So, and I think at that time Facebook was already listed, kind of like Twitter was up until a few days ago.
mm.
Maybe they're still trading. I think they are. So I don't know. I don't know really. It's we just have to wait and see. Is it the end of Twitter? Maybe I
I
don't
think I
know.
think I think it's early. Well, I tell you what, it's not the end. You know why? Because many people have jumped back on, and many people are leaving. For me personally, I've tweeted 3 times since it happened, and I hardly tweet. I tend to only tweet when I'm putting up something and it links to my Twitter account. But I've actually tweeted
Do
three
you,
times since,
do,
and a lot
do,
of
do,
yeah.
do you remember just about a couple of years ago when people threatened and temporarily left WhatsApp and they went to Signal? Do you
And Telegram, yes.
do you remember Telegram? And then what? And how long did that last? Not very long.
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, but Telegram is very effective at the same
yeah,
time.
but what I'm saying is that Telegram had been around and had been growing on its own independently anyway.
Yes,
But as a substitute for WhatsApp, it
yeah.
really is a different kind of platform,
Well,
isn't it?
let me just welcome Reverend Graham. I don't know what happened, Reverend. Were you praying?
I was doing more than praying, man.
How you
How are
doing?
Ni-
you?
Nice to
I'm
have
good.
you on today.
I'm good. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
we're
said,
good.
I said,
We're,
nice to have you on. Welcome to
yeah.
the show.
Yeah,
No, we're
yeah.
good.
It's good to
We,
be here.
we, we were just wrapping up on the bits about Twitter, this new the changing of the guards in Twitter. Um, the perception is that it is moving to the right or center right, while Elon Musk is saying he wants to keep it neutral and right in the middle. I don't know if you have followed.
I do, I'm well, not much, not much. I've got a Twitter account, but I don't. I read more of the Twitter than tweet anything myself, really.
But you
And
have
that's
your
the same
program.
with me, by
You
the
have your
way.
program on Twitter though. Your program comes up on Twitter.
Yes, 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 yes. My program comes up on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, so therefore, Gary is a person who is very active on Twitter. So are you happy then with Elon Musk takeover, or you think there's going to things happen to that?
Well, I don't know really. I mean, what was the reasons why he took it over? I mean, him being in charge shouldn't really change much. I don't think it's going to change anything much. Not
Yeah,
for me, anyway.
yeah. I think what the perception is that it's going to change, and why many people of the left leaning are wanting to leave, is because they believe that it will become a bit too open. Um, because remember what we're going through for a period of time whereby many people were being censored, and they had all these people fact checking. They're fact checking thing because it is not up to the standard. So it was not about bullying only. It was the anti-vax. They didn't want anti-vax persons on because they were actually saying things against the vaccine. So
Right.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of them were shutting people down a lot. What Elon Musk was always talking about is about freedom of expression, and that is what he wants to preserve in a way. Nevertheless, still the bullying factor has got to be regularized, got to be monitored. The European Union or whatever is actually saying they are going to make sure that it doesn't come and become this free. They're scared that it's going to become a right wing thing. That's what they believe. It's going to be a right wing thing, you know. But this guy just has money to play with,
Well, that
and
is it.
You should send some of it my way so I can play a little bit with some of it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. He's got a lot of money. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but something came out on the on a social media saying that he's eyeing up Facebook now. So I don't know how true that is.
But they say he's eyeing up Facebook and he's also eyeing up YouTube and he's even eyeing up Coca Cola to put Coke in Coca Cola. you know. So, but it does point to, I don't know if there's something moral or immoral about this in a time like this where people are actually struggling. They're saying that the amount of money which is used there could buy 3 African countries or so. You know, Do you think that there's something at the same time immoral about all of this, Gary? We, you know, just Bezos. Remember Bezos recently?
Yeah.
Imam
Yes.
Richard Branson. During the course
Yes.
of pandemic, they made a lot of money. They made a lot of money off Amazon because people were at home buying. Never had anywhere to go. They bought from home. And these Amazon guys were just coming by your house throwing things. And they flew into space while people were suffering.
You see, again, um, what can you say? I mean, you've got the money. As I think it was my colleague here who said, you've got the money. They can spend it. They can. Yeah. I don't know if there is any if there's morality attached to it or whatever. Because put it this way, if it was you, would you? What would you do?
Me.
Yeah, if it was any one of us who had the money that Elon Musk has, or as Jeff Bezos or
Bezos.
Richard Branson or any of these guys, what would we do? Would we behave the same way?
I think if we believe that there's some infringing on freedom of expression, people with a passion and with a ideology, they would want to come in and want to make a change. And I think that's what he did. He comes in and he made a change. As I said recently, if you don't do something, something will go do. And I think he said, "Let me do something." That's a Jamaican thing, Taiwo. I did a video.
Yeah, yeah, you explained earlier.
You know,
Yes.
do something, something will go do. So he do something.
Well, the thing about it, Sil, is that I hear what you're saying, and you're right. But there'll always be probably the same persons again complaining, even though you think you are doing what you need to do. There's always
Mm,
someone in the background there saying that, well, you've got the money and you think you have the right to do what you're doing and you shouldn't
yeah.
be doing it. So
Mm.
you can't win or please people.
That's
I
true.
and I think down the road we got to watch and see because absolute power corrupts and what and power corrupts absolutely. Is that what they say? Yeah, and things like
Yeah.
that.
Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as a gentleman, Wilmot Perkin would say, and he will laugh at the same time. But listen, I want to move on quickly to something that Russia is on. Russia has shut down some pipelines. Yes, Putin said, "I'm gonna shut it down." We've been speaking about Putin for a while. We have no choice in the matter here now, that because this war, which is continuing, or this conflict, based on the conflict and what many people are saying now, they are saying actually Putin is at war with the West through Ukraine. Ukraine is the boogeyman, and they're actually filling and fueling Ukraine with weapons, training Ukraine and their people. That now it is difficult for Putin to take over because the West is fueling it. So Putin said, "What? I'm gonna shut it down." The same sanction that they lick, Putin licking the sanction back. What is that? Is he fair? Huh?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I mean, listen. From the time they were making this gas pipeline, across Europe, the warning bells were being rung. Statements were being made that what Russia is doing now, they would have done it. War or no war, they would have done what they're doing because they know that they would have had um, Europe by the short and curlies, as they would say.
Mm,
And it's Putin is doing what he wants to do now. He's doing what he wants to do. It's
yes.
not more. That is not morally right, is it? It's not morally right because there are people depending on gas. The whole world now is feeling the um the the
The
the um
impact.
the impact of this. So I don't know what to think on this score, still.
Because the thing about it is that, and based on what they're actually saying, Putin is accused of blackmail after gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria is halted. Putin is saying that they need to pay him in ruble.
Right.
And right now, European appears to be on the brink of an emergency crisis that could further drive up household bills, and Russia halted gas supplies to two EU countries and threatened others in a move condemned by European leaders as blackmail. Now, I find that a bit very contradictory and a bit hypocritical of Europe, because at the same time, Europe is the one that licked sanction on Russia. And now Russia is actually saying, okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to hit you guys back. He's protecting his borders. Now, it's not affecting Russia, it's affecting you and me. It's we affecting directly. And that's why I believe now is that the world is void of effective leadership in order to try to sort this mess out as soon as possible. No matter what the government here do to try to sort out the gas prices and to cushion the blow until they sort out Russia and Ukraine. Taiwo, what do you think about that?
Well, we really don't know um, where this is going to end, do we?
Definitely.
The headline I saw today is I think the U.S. Senate has just passed a new bill with, was it 30 odd billion, or I can't remember the figure.
Yes.
Um, so Putin's obviously at a point where he's got to save face. That's
Mm,
what he feels he needs to do. He's made all these claims, and oh, we're trying to denazify, and so it's that sort of thing where he's made a stake in the ground and said this is what we're doing, and wants to substantiate that by all means.
mm,
It's just obscene the amount of innocent lives, the number of innocent lives lost. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's just no justification for that, you know. And and he reached a point where he could have actually drawn the line. That's what we thought, right? When they kind of
mm,
went back to 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 sort of recoup, and we were one that they're coming back with, even more force. He could have said, and Zelensky was willing to talk to him, and he could have said, okay, yes, we've won, we've denazified Mariupol, and or whatever he wanted to claim, and claim
yes.
some sort of philosophical victory, and just left it at that. But no, you know. So I think it's really put the whole world in a really dangerous place, because the more the West is involved indirectly,
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to stop, is it? It's not
Now,
going to stop. So yeah, I'm really worried. I'm really well. I won't say I'm worried, but it every time the story comes on, I think it's way more than what we see or can predict the outcome of. So
mm,
we just have to. I don't know.
well,
I mean, I feel like saying we just have to pray, with Reverend Nunn. But hey, somebody would say, how did we even get to this situation with all the prayers that have been
yeah,
uttered? It's just really, it's very, very it's taken us, it's taken the world back. It's put the
yes,
world back,
yeah,
50 plus years, 60 or 60 years plus. It's taken us back, really.
yeah.
Um,
But what do you guys think though about the West will send more tanks and planes to halt growing Russian brutality, says UK. Isn't that actually fueling it more?
well, we've got to help we can't, a world, not just, I say we as in the UK, but the world can't just stand by, you know, and watch people. I mean, look, you and I, even just as human beings, civilians,
Mm.
I mean, you've seen people that just want to go and support Ukraine. It's not, this could have been happening anywhere else. I'm saying this as in because we've had the thing that, oh well, it's Ukraine. What if, but in Africa people did? It's not about. This is not about you. It's Ukraine or if it was Africa. These are human beings. People with families, children. Wives, husbands, brothers, and people and even the old age population that just decided, well, this is it because they are not going anywhere. It's just, I think this is even worse
Yeah.
it's as bad as
Yeah. Let me go on to Gary. Tal. Gary, don't you think what I just said is fueling the war more?
Doesn't it think
I
that?
know we got to help Zelensky. I have no confidence in Zelensky. I know people are championing his cause because I believe Zelensky is the boogeyman and the problem right now at this point that has messed up his country. How much can Putin get really? Let's think about it now. How much can he get if he just simply said, "Listen, I don't want no more death of my people. Just take it over and do it. Keep the people them safe." That's my view. I'm sorry.
You see, Putin. Listen, Putin's time is coming to an end.
Exactly.
Right? And
Exactly.
so Putin is doing what he wants to do. So he's going down in flames. Either way, I don't think he's. I mean, it is said that he has Parkinson's. It is said that he has health issues. So and it's even been, whether it's true or not, is alleged that he may have had a very mild stroke.
Of recent days.
Yeah, I mean, based on how he walked, I mean, there were some pictures of him with his hands shaking. That's why he gripped the podium so tightly. And even
Right.
in his walk has changed. So they say that he has a very mild stroke.
Yes.
So he's going down. He's leaving a legacy. He's leaving a legacy
Mm.
that Putin, Vladimir Putin, was the strong man of Russia. Now, whether or not, well, probably it is also being felt, not said, but it's being felt that Zelensky is the puppet of the West. That's
Mm.
what they're saying, isn't it? Because it is a proxy war. There seems to be conflict between NATO and Russia.
Yes.
And based on what I believe the Secretary of State for Defense or the Secretary of Defense said, and has more or less communicated to the West and to the allies that they're doing what they can to weaken Russia.
Yes.
So all that they're doing, Zelensky, okay, he seems to be the spokesman for the West when it needs to be said. He probably is the puppet, and the puppet masters are behind. So we don't know. I really don't know what's going on. But some are saying that Zelensky should give up.
Mm.
That's what some are saying, and let Russia come in or whatever. And some are saying that Putin shouldn't be doing what he's doing. So I don't know. I really don't know
Yeah.
what.
Well, I think it's understood, and many people will say, and I agree that Putin should not be doing what he's doing. But there's a show that I watched once. Orlando Bloom, I think, acted in it, and it was Jerusalem or so. And when that guy took over Jerusalem, Orlando looked at him and said, "What Jerusalem means to you?" And he said, "Nothing." Um, and it's like sometimes people want to get a legacy or grab something, but anyhow, the guy turned back to him and said, "It means everything." So Ukraine could be like the bread basket. We're realizing that Ukraine is like a bread basket. It's like a bit like Zimbabwe in Africa, the bread basket of Africa. Ukraine plays a fundamental role, and I believe that is why it is so precious. But I believe that at the same time, what the world is doing, they are watching while over 10 million, 5 to 10 million people are displaced all over the world. People are coming to the UK. They are being, some of them are being, molested. They are charged. They're asking for money. They're kicking them out, and they are into this situation. I believe that Zelensky should have somehow created a deal with Russia. Gary,
Well, he offered it. He offered. He
you said
offered.
something, Gary, that Putin is on his way out. There's not much more really that's gonna happen, and that's the reality of it. Putin is on his way out. Biden is on his way out. Boris is on his way out. Everybody's on his way out. Taiwo, you need to come and take over. Gary, and we got to take over because these guys are letting us down big time, man. It's clear. They're letting us down. Am I right, Gary? They're letting us down.
Yeah, they are. They are. They are.
Hmm.
I mean, what is Teo saying?
Well. I mean, I don't know about coming to take over. That's the whole. But
No,
but
you need to
but.
take over, man. Take look at your background.
but
Take that's a prime ministerial look, governmental look you have there.
but there is definite. Well, it's not just the group you mentioned. If you think of a large segment of the global leaders, the one exception in this is probably New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern,
The lady there,
she's
yeah.
really, and Finland with a prime minister who's I think still in her 30s. You know,
Mm.
so these are sort of exceptions, and probably um countries that are leading in the new generation of political leaders. But for a large segment of many countries, there is definitely a major change of the guard that is either in progress or that is needed. When I say change of guard, I don't just mean in terms of maybe who is next going to be voted in, but when you look at the available candidates as a whole of all
Mm.
of the parties, they maybe fall within a certain age group or something. So, um, yeah, I think we are getting close to the end of an era in that regard, and
Yes.
we have to wait and see who are the brave new souls to step up to the plate
Yes.
in
Yes.
that
Yes.
regard.
Yeah. But anyway, well, they'll sort that out, and we just have to make sure that we save ourselves and find a hole that when they start to bomb up the place. But anyway, there's a sad news recently, and I put this for last, and it is the Jamaican family of four massacre in London. And I'll just play a quick video here just to set the stage, really. Very sad.
What happened on Delaford Road in southeast London last night is still not clear, but the aftermath has horrified this Bermondsey neighbourhood. Four people stabbed to death.
Sorry, can you hear echo while I was playing that?
No.
Was it very clear? Okay. Okay. I just thought I heard like a
I could hear a
feedback.
bit of an echo, but it's nothing too bad.
Okay. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
let me play it from a different section here because I believe I was getting an echo there. Um, where is it? Here we are.
Happened on Delaford Road in southeast London last night is still not clear, but the aftermath has horrified this Bermondsey neighbourhood. Four people stabbed to death, a fifth in custody on suspicion of murder. Police forced entry to a house after a disturbance at around 20 to 2 this morning.
Inside the house, they made a dreadful discovery of four people who had been stabbed. Despite the best efforts of officers and paramedics, all four people were sadly pronounced dead at the scene. This is a deeply shocking incident, and we will do everything we can to provide support to everyone affected.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have followed this story. Gary, you said in Birmingham you sometimes don't get the news from London. I don't know if you have heard more about this sad
Yeah,
event.
I heard when I went downstairs and it was on the GB News. You know the new channel. The
Oh yeah, GB News. Yes.
It was on.
That's Taiwo's favorite station.
Is it?
It's not my favorite. I only recently started listening to them. I can't quite call them a favorite yet. Carry on,
Okay.
Gary.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
You don't
I
have to be so
heard
honest,
about
you know?
it, but it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I don't. I mean, have any further news happen or anything like that?
Well, what I get to understand is that the gentleman, the the murderer, is the boyfriend of the youngest girl. Yes, and he went there. I think he just met them actually. He went there. I think they had some problems or whatever like that. I don't know. And he stabbed her. Yep. Then apparently he stabbed the grandmother and her partner or her husband and stabbed another person there. Four of them, and they're pronounced dead on the scene. Right. I got to understand further. A colleague of mine, Vita, actually saying that she went to school with him in exchange in Ocho. And another friend of mine actually said that they know him from some place called Exchange in Middle Street. That is the gentleman who got killed. He's now arrested and he's been charged. But the big thing that is coming out of this now is what could prompt someone to do this? Another person on TikTok, I said he said he did a research a bit more and he said something is not coming out. And he said something about mental health with this guy a few years back as well. You know?
Uh-huh.
And so it's like it's a passion crime, you know? I don't know. I don't know. There's no words and there's no explanation. But what could that sort
I
of
don't
short
think this is.
yeah,
I just really don't even. Um, I don't think this is a mental health thing.
yeah,
You mentioned the phrase passion crime. Um, there's no excuse. There's nothing to describe it. I mean, there are no words because anything we say to sort of describe it seems to almost be excusing it, and it's
yeah.
just completely inexcusable. Completely. Whether it was the girl ditched him or the young lady, I don't know. I've heard the story, but I didn't really read it or follow in great detail, so I don't know the ages of the victims who have sadly lost their lives. But it's completely inexcusable, and I think it's just another um, another story. I hope it's not even the case that these are self-reinforcing, as in those men out there that are inclined to commit atrocities like this when something doesn't go their way feel more empowered by 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 stories like this. I don't know,
Mm,
but it's just completely. Uh, there's nothing you can use to explain or justify this.
yeah.
Nothing,
As you
nothing.
can yeah, as you can see from the picture I put up there, his name is Joshua Jakes in court over four family members. And if I can give you some more information, you mentioned about the ages. Uh, there's Samantha Drummonds, 27. This was the girlfriend. Um, her mother, Tanisha Drummonds, 45. Grandmother, Dollet Hill, 64. And Miss Hill's partner, Denton Burke, 68, were found with stab wounds by the house on Monday. You know, and I'll put the pictures up now so you can actually see them. And my condolences to the family, of course, at this time. Gary, what do you if you're to meet families of this family, how would you how would you speak to them? How would you comfort them, if anything? They're the families. They're the four persons who died.
That's a hard question, my brother. That's a
Mm,
very hard question. I mean,
mm.
um, what can what can one really do? I mean, how can I've I don't think I've ever had to deal with anything like that in that magnitude.
Yes.
But but any minister, any minister going into a situation like that in a very real way would go into the home, into the surroundings, and all that they could probably do is just sit there with them, just let them know that they're there. Because if we if we have not experienced that for ourselves, what can we say?
Mm,
Really, what can we say to the individuals that are left feeling
mm.
and experiencing the very heartfelt anguish that's going on um in within themselves right now, Silborn.
Mm.
I believe that what I would do, if at all I was there and had the opportunity to work with the family or families,
Yes.
I would go, I would sit down with them,
Mm.
um, and just be there for them.
Can we can we pick up on this comment from Scotty
Yes.
about
Yes. Read
mental
it.
health?
Yeah. Read it.
She says, Silborn, we in the
D.
UK
Yeah.
particularly and around the world have suffered greatly with racial discrimination, and this has led to about 80% of our community, particularly
Male. Male
community
means.
males, in particularly with mental health issues. There is no question that um, mental issues, let's just call it issues, because I watched an interview with some other famous broadcaster who was making a delineating between mental illness and everything else that we call mental whatever, because we all
Yeah.
have, just like we all have a physical health, our physical body, we have a mental health, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about mental health to say something's, I'm not feeling well mentally, or I'm under stress or anxiety. That's one side. There is genuine mental illness that some people suffer, that they need medication and proper health care for. So let's separate between the two. First of all, what we're
Mm.
talking about here is the compounding of distress caused by challenges faced in everyday life. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are varying degrees to which all of us as human beings are able to cope with what life throws at us. Okay.
Yes.
Varying degrees. And some people, when they reach the point where they cannot cope any longer, result to means that result in the loss of life. Sometimes their own life,
Mm.
sometimes the life of others. So that's at one extreme. Sometimes they resort to measures that don't result in the loss of life, but are destructive in other ways. Okay, so there are various points along the scale. I think what we're talking about here is at the bottom end of the scale, people need an outlet and a coping mechanism, which, if that isn't there, tends to lead to more severe measures and things that people do. I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a consultant on any of these issues by any means. So just putting that disclaimer out there. But my view is that the the point that Scotty made does not justify or even explain. I'm not saying you're saying it justifies it, Scotty. I'm just saying it doesn't even explain um, this kind of
killing,
Uh,
brutality, and
it
massacre.
doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because you went out with somebody, a 27-year-old lady, and she wants to break up with you, or I mean, how old was the murderer? What was
So,
his
so
age? What
yeah,
was his age there? I don't know. Whatever, regardless of his age, anyway.
the mother
Um,
age is for the mother age, or the mother is 40.
no, I mean the
Sorry.
murderer, the
Oh,
murderer,
the murderer. Yeah, just for Drake. Jake's 28.
28. Okay.
He's
So
28.
the
Yes.
28-year-old. So, okay, emotional health, Scotty says, is the correct term. Yes. So, yes, we all have different abilities to cope emotionally with what life throws at us, different levels of emotional toughness. Um, but, I think, going back to what I was trying to say earlier, I think what we're seeing, and I'm even feeling very, uh, a bit odd on, talking about it, because I'm not saying that we need to hide from these things, because actually we do need to talk about them.
Mm.
But I think there is a certain aspect of what we see in the news that is actually kind of acting like a feedback loop. I don't know if that makes sense. People get ideas of what their options are by what they hear. Okay. So if you think, for example, let's take the subject of suicide, for example. Okay. And people that have died by suicide. People get the idea of when someone's so low where they feel that's their only option out, and they want to take their own life, they need a means to do that. But in terms of whether they're going to take a whole jar of tablets or go and jump in front of a train, they get the ideas of what's possible from the news, you
So,
know? So
so what? Okay, so what you're saying, in a sense, Taiwo, is that no matter what, there's no justification for this.
there's absolutely no
No
justification.
justification.
There's
And
absolutely no.
what you're actually saying, when we start to go down the route and using the mental health, even though mental health could be a factor, we're actually coming in with justification
Seemingly,
indirectly. I want to
in,
bring on to Gary. Yeah, go on. Yeah, finish up that in 30 seconds, Taro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, seemingly. I mean, Scotty has said it's emotional health, but okay, so if it's emotional health and not mental health, then where do we start? Where do we build good emotional health from? If it isn't there, you know,
Yeah.
some people will become adults and not
Yeah.
have good emotional health because of their upbringing. What is the role of the community? What is the role of the church? What is the role of the other houses of faith? What is the
And
role
also
of
this, also I'm going to Gary now. Also the space where
Mhm.
men can actually speak. Maybe we have to
Yes,
talk
yes,
about
that's
Gary. I mean,
important, and that's
I
why
mean
it's good.
Gary.
That's
Yeah.
why this is good, because men do need to speak, and I think
Yeah.
it does help men helping men. I watch things. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's something we definitely need more
Yeah.
of, especially in our community as black
Yeah.
men.
Gary. Yeah. Pick up on those points of Gary. What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, I have to agree. I think I have to agree with what Teo is saying. And you see, go
Sorry,
on.
I'm just seeing Scotty a bit here. The incident was a result of years of this leading, and I can't hold on to those
Well,
things.
no, well, you
Yeah.
see, again, we use mental health in some things as a get out clause. There's a lot of
Yes.
things that
That's the thing. Yes.
that
Yeah.
is used for get, and I understand. I want to say to Scotty, I want to. I'm not against what you're saying. There are instances that yes, mental health does have credence, does have a credence. However, not everything that happens, such as like this, we have to put it down to mental health
That's true.
because
That's true.
because listen, you see me here right now. Vita is there, isn't it? So the was Vita is listening from the
Yes.
States. I am here right now, Teo and Sylbourne, right? And as soon as I click down this thing and go through these doors and go where me I go, right? Now, if I go and knock down somebody and stab up two men and all of that, right? Are you gonna put that down to mental health? Are you gonna say, boy, Reverend
I'm under
Graham
pressure.
have a mental
Reverend under pressure.
so is mental health? No, no, no. There are some things that people, that men, that women, and obviously there are some children. Sad to say, it has affected people, but they make the choice to do what they're doing. You cannot always put it down to mental health. I'm just like you, Silborn. You can't put everything. It's a get out clause.
And let's not blame it on discrimination either, because
No.
Yeah.
because then what we are saying is that, okay, if we people that face you know the combined effect of repeated discrimination, then we are all liable to get to the point where we're going to snap and go and just take out somebody. No, so it's very important that with these things, and I think because this is obviously going out there, it's very important to say things that are balanced and take a balanced view of this. Very important. um it's whether it is mental health or whether it is discrimination or whatever, it's important to only play these cards, show these cards when they are appropriate, when the issue at hand can actually be put down to one of these factors. Because when we use this card as a get out of jail card, or like the reference was saying, then it diminishes and minimizes those things that happen that are really serious
Yeah.
issues of mental health or discrimination or
So
whatever.
what you're trying to
You
say?
know,
These cry wolf factors
yeah,
can minimize
life
the
is
really
going to be
genuine.
hard if even if there was no discrimination. Go to a country, go to a country in Africa, go to a
Yeah.
country in the Caribbean, go to a country where you're part of the majority population of a homogeneous society. There will still be hardship there of a
Well,
different kind,
yeah.
maybe.
Well,
you
well,
know
it's yeah. Well, it's just like sometimes when they say poverty breed murderers and killers. When at the same time, you got many people in impoverished communities, and they
yes,
do very well. Who I would say
yes.
the majority at the same time.
Well,
You
or even just
know?
you know, how do I put it? There's a lot of poverty in Africa. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean all poor people go about killing others. No,
Yes.
no.
Well, anyway, we're at the end now, but it's a conversation to continue. And Scotty said, Taiwo, so what do you think caused the problem? I think we can always
Well,
say
I
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
I
We
at
don't
this point,
know.
I'll
Yeah,
just
we
like
don't
to
know.
say I haven't looked.
Yeah,
I've not tried to find an answer, but I will
yeah,
say what I was saying earlier. Okay, since I've been asked directly, is there is a segment of the community here
yeah,
in the UK, and I don't mean that to say black. I don't mean that to say young. You understand? There is a certain uh, there is some breakdown in the social fabric. Let me just put it that way.
yeah,
That needs to be addressed somehow. Okay,
yes,
I cannot put my finger in and say
yes,
this is what caused the problem, because this
yes,
is we see atrocities like this across the board. It's not just a young black man or a young white man. There was a video I was watching of a young um probably teenage boy being pinned down by a plainclothes police officer because he had a knife and was going around threatening people with
I
it.
saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
So you
And
know,
then the boy started to say he has ADHD, and then a guy named Chris Preddy. I was listening to Chris Preddy and say, "Ah ha ha! No, you're talking ADHD, but you're a bad man. You're a bad man. You went around and you're trying to stab up the guys them, but no, you have you got ADHD because the police have caught you." You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So,
Scotty, tell us about your health shop offline.
well, anyway,
Okay.
guys, listen. We're gonna follow this up. We're gonna follow this up, and I'm gonna follow this one closely to see. There's something I always ask at times, and this is what I always ask. You normally see with crimes, black boys killing. You always hear they talk a lot about the family, the trauma to the family. I always like to know the story about that killer, the story about the perpetrator. So
Yes.
so Scotty, you're right. We're not saying you're right or wrong. I'm not into
So,
that now. You're right, but I'd love to find out his story.
Sid, that is something I have always said. We haven't discussed it beforehand, but
Yeah,
that is something. You see, I've always I mean, at the point where something like this has happened is probably not the appropriate time to spend energy talking about the killer. But when you go into prison, right?
yeah,
When I look at the lives of, when you think about how, prisons are full of all kinds of people, and then
yes,
I often say that people say, okay, Scotty, I often say that people just, it's easy for our judicial social system to say, oh, this person's a monster, put him in jail. But remember,
yeah,
that person was born, let's say it's a man, was born of a woman that carried him for 9 months, was a baby. And then you want to know, where did things go wrong? These
where
are the
did,
questions that are not
yes,
often asked. It's
yes,
very easy to just cast somebody as a monster,
mm,
throw them in jail and throw away the key and say all of that. But
yes,
remember, this person was once a little boy, a baby, the joy of
yes,
his mother, his parents.
yes,
And society doesn't address what went wrong from 3 months or
yes,
6 months or 3 years or four. What went wrong? Was it the lack of a father figure? Was it the
yes.
lack of a good school? Was it the area? People, we don't discuss these things, you
Well, we're
know?
gonna have to we're gonna discuss this more than likely. Maybe Saturday night we're gonna bring this back up as part of the topic as well. Gary,
Yeah.
um, any last word? We're gonna have to dash. Is it?
Well, I mean, I think I hear what your writers or the your listeners are saying in regards to mental health. And Scotty, yes, you may be right. You may be just right. But we've got to be aware that sometimes the society in which we are a part of, let's say more often than not in the UK, when they when black people or black men seem to be in these situations, they always say it's mental health. So what about white? What about white men, white people? Do you know there's white men out there who's driving the buses? Do you know there's white men out there um, working working down on in the financial markets down there on drugs, on medication? They're just as bad as the black men, but
And
nobody picked them up as yet.
I mean, I mean,
and members of parliament sitting in parliament.
Reverend, I'm
reading-
impressed that you've heard of that one. The investment bankers
Of course,
on something.
of course.
You
Of
listen
course.
far and wide. I'm impressed that you heard about
No,
that.
no, no. But it's true. It's true, Teo. I mean, the thing
Yes,
about it is that what's happening amongst black people, black men. If you want to say men, fine. Amongst black men, it's happening amongst the white men.
that
But
is
we're not
true.
picking up on
That
that.
is true. Well, I think we are, to be honest with. Well, I don't know.
But it's not highlighted. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's not. Yeah. It doesn't get as much attention, considering that we are much smaller percentage of the population. We are getting more than our fair share of news coverage.
Yes, yes,
That's why we need positive programs
Yes.
to show the positive side, and well done, Sid, for this. I know you've been at it for a good long time.
yeah,
I just come along now and enjoy your hard work.
yeah, yeah. No, no, it's serious. It's serious, and there's a lot of things also because even stuff like with prostate cancer and all those sort of things, they always say the black community, and I sometimes wonder, don't other people have these problems too? You know what I mean? They sort of highlight the black community so much as if to say we are some delinquent You know, just like when the COVID was going on, they were saying the black community. You know, everybody was just really putting pressure on the black community and black people. And look at this. Where's COVID? Where the backside COVID is? Sorry, Gary.
We need Vita, man. Vita needs to come. I need to talk to Vita, you know, because you know, man, she's influencing you, still.
Vita's influenced me. Am I muted? Am I muted?
I think this is the point at which I was bid you a good evening, gentlemen.
Yes. Taiwo, listen, have a good night.
All right,
Gary, have a good night. Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you. I wanna
joining.
thank you so much for joining
Yes,
tonight.
Scotty, I've asked you to pass my WhatsApp to you because I can't
will-
access the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will do that. Taiwo,
Alright,
I will.
then,
I will.
good.
I'll be the contact person. I've got the
Good,
link with
good,
Taiwo.
good,
With
good.
with
Okay.
what's his name, Scotty as well.
Yes.
Vita is doing
Okay.
great. See, her influence has got us now. You know. She said, "We."
Wowie. Okay.
Am I muted? Listen, Taiwo, have a good night. Okay.
Yes,
bless you.
thank you. Yes,
Thank
thank
you very
you.
much.
Good night, Reverend.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
then,
you.
Theo.
Okay. Good
Take
night.
care.
then.
Cheers.
Okay.
Yeah. Gary, I'll come back to you. Yeah. Gary, have a good night. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Peace out.
Yeah, yes.
Cheers. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight for this show. And for those on Facebook, those on YouTube, and those on Instagram, thank you so much for this. And the key topics tonight: Elon Musk buying out Twitter, interesting days, Putin and Ukraine, and Zelensky. As far as I'm concerned, my word is that Zelensky need to just cool now, really, or mash up the country. You can't blame Putin for shutting down the gas because everybody's shutting down the gas. It is not them feeling it, it's me and you feeling it, it's us feeling it. We are the ones feeling the impact. And now the UK and different governments are now fueling Ukraine with weapons, which is going to prolong the process. I don't think these leaders are actually thinking. They don't want any peace, Scotty. They don't want any peace. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to like and subscribe to the Sylbourne Show. Check us out Saturday night, Talking Sip. Yeah, where we get down. And anything else may happen. Peace out. God bless you. My name is Sylbourne.